Hi, I'm Paul Schuler. We're here at Te Aroha West, which is in eastern Waikato. My brother and I, we farm this property together. It's 236 hectares of mostly flat and cultivable land. The land was originally, my grandfather came here and grandmother came here in nearly 100 years ago. My grandfather was come out from Switzerland as a little boy, and they originally settled on 100 acres here. Over the subsequent years, we've managed to buy adjoining bits of land, and Kevin and I are two of 6 children. So our elder brothers and sisters, they've gone and done their things, and it's just Kevin and I farming here now. So we farm, of the 36 hectares, is about 215 hectares effective farmland, and of that 105 is currently milking dairy cows, 60 with dairy goats and 60 with dairy sheep. So each farm has its own separate milking shed. They all happen to be about 40 a side herringbone milking systems, which is swing over parlour. So yeah, 40 sets of cups in each shed, for simple description. The cow farm this year is in the middle of calving 320 cows in the autumn, which is a bit irregular for New Zealand farming systems. Most farming systems are calve in the spring, and we winter milk 380 cows, so we top up our what's needed beyond the 320 that calve with purchased in cows in the autumn. And then that has 2 full-time staff and obviously casual assistance during calving and over weekends. The sheep farm has 1 full-time person but requires 2 to milk, so we have casual labour come in to help with milking. And then the goat farm has 3 to 4 full-time people, but similarly over kidding and busy periods we have a lot of staff come in. We try and kid in the school holidays, so then we've got children to do the work, help us out, and it fits well. You know, the small nature of a goat, kid, and school children, they seem to go really well. Similarly with lambs, so we try and lamb the bulk of our lambing at a time when the local school children can come and help us out. So benefits everyone that way, gets them kids working and gets the job done, and pleasantly. We're closely connected with Maui Milk and their Southern Cross genetics program, which is based off a Lacone sheep breed. So attempting to have a sheep based on the Lacone genetics that adapts really well to New Zealand circumstances. Just about to put the ram out. I think the ram's due to go out on the 24th of February, which should give us 5 months, less 5 days. About the 20th of July, hopefully, the ewes will start lambing. And this year we'll lamb we made our hoggets to lamb, our lambs to lamb as hoggets. So the ram will go out to them in the 1st or 2nd week of March to lamb in the 1st, 2nd week of August. The key there is getting them up to a good weight to be able to hold to the ram. So all Lacone this year. Previous years we've just mated the the ewes we didn't want to keep lambs out of, we mated them to Southdown to give a good mixed breed, putting a good weight on the structure of a Lacone animal, and that proved successful. We managed to grow and sell a few lambs this year in a good period, so it was great. So what we typically do is we'll leave the lamb in the paddock with the ewe for 3 days, and we shed every day. So when we shed, the ewe with lamb stays behind. So our farm is subdivided into paddocks of 2.5 hectares. So we choose our lambing paddocks and we further break them into 3 breaks. So that means that every 3rd day I can empty out a paddock with the ewes and the lambs. So we shed, the ewes and the lambs stay behind, shed the next day, and then shed all the ewes out of that paddock, and then I've got 3 days of lambs. I know those lambs were born between day 1 and 3. And then on day 5, I take all those ewes and lambs out. I take the lambs into a lamb rearing barn, and I start to milk the ewes directly from there. So yeah, so that system works really well for us. The ewes are so maternal, they'll stay with the lamb, and then after 2 or 3 days we know the lamb has had all the colostrum and had a really good start, and then goes on to hand-reared system really, really easily. To the fact that when we bring the lambs in, we actually don't feed them for the first day, and typically we have drums with teats, and typically the next day, if not 60-70% of those lambs have already taught themselves to feed, and they have ad lib, so there's milk available all the time, and so then we effectively only have to teach maybe 30% one day, and then the next day of those over half are ready, and then you'll end up over 4 days none of those lambs will need any further help other than just normal observation and care. So that's based on a ad lib feeding system. Typically try to get to a good size, 18 kilograms sort of live weight before we start weaning, but that will probably take 7 or 8 weeks. Yep. So from the start they've got water, they've got straw, they've got meal as well. So trying to encourage them onto harder feeds and grass, so they have access to grass from the start too. So our milk is paid for on a milk solids basis, being fat, protein and lactose, and so that's a key metric for us to pursue. At the start of lactation we were averaging 2 litres a ewe per day, and at about 18% lactose solids content, which is about 0.36 solids a ewe, and that would we held that peak for probably a good month, and then over the subsequent months has declined, and we have got now down to whether just over a litre a ewe, but the solids content is nearly 20%. So we've come down from 0.36 solids down to 0.2 solids, roundabout figures. So we lamb in end of July, early August, and then we actually dry off because the milk factory won't pick our milk up anymore, which is April, late March, April. So we actually haven't had the opportunity to see how far they can milk to. So annual budget we're trying to achieve at the moment is 50 milk solids per ewe per year, and I think that simple math that might work out to be about 300 litres. I do believe that as we get better genetics and the factory, the milk processor continues to pick our milk up later, we'll get longer lactation, and we've had feed and ewe condition to keep milking longer, but at the moment we haven't had the opportunity to milk beyond that. feedback. So last year we scanned, we mated 840 ewes, and of those 14 did not get in lamb, and the lambing percentage for the ewes was 206%. So that was really good. Had obviously a lot of twins. In the lambs, the hogget lambs, we mated 400 and 320 got in lamb, so 80 that didn't get in lamb, and they actually, their lambing percentage over the whole lot was 106%, but I think of those that got in lamb was 130%. The question is health issues for our sheep, and I won't isolate it to one. Every day our principal concern is lameness, and what we've got a animal that's probably bred and designed for an arid or semi-arid environment, living in a very temperate and moist environment. So lameness is our biggest issue. So that we found the best way to combat that is with regular foot baths and then regular hoof trimming. The other particularly difficult disease in this part of New Zealand is eczema, facial eczema, and that becomes an issue in the late summer, early autumn with moisture and fungal growth. So to combat that, we actually use zinc bullets, and that was yesterday's job. So I'm still a bit sore, having wrestled 840 odd sheep, and but so eczema is a nasty, scary disease for us to manage, but it's manageable through, we'll use zinc bullets for our herd. Others add a zinc product to their meal. Also the use of the chicory pasture that dilutes the problem of the eczema as well. Grass, just a mixed sward grass, ryegrass, clover, but also trying to get it diverse, whether there's some red and white clover, there's some chicory comes through from our crops, and if we can maintain it, plantain. So I don't really see, if something's green and they'll eat it, it's not a weed, so I'm happy with that. So I think a diverse sward is really important. We've also really for many years focused on, if we feed our soil and feed our microorganisms in our soil, and that gives healthy grass, and that's the basis of good farming for us, is healthy, nutrient dense grass. So I think for us, having good subdivision, that we can control pasture with, manage animals on specific areas and on specific rotation lengths, and to manage quality of grass. I think that's our most important thing. Must be said, a milking shed with a milk better than hand milking sheep. So